it's Casey. Before we start the show, I just wanted to apologize for the fact that anyone who pre-ordered my book to come to the live event that the books were so slow to be shipped. It has been remedied and the books are literally going out today and everyone should receive their tracking info soon. And apologies for that. I'm so appreciative that you bought the books and attended our show, and it should be to you soon. Thank you so much. Let's start the show. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Casey. We're doing the pod a little early this week, and I think it's because there's an emergency on the horizon. But
that's right.
But we're not on the horizon. We're in the midst of it.
Yeah, we're in the eye of the storm.
We really are. And before we get to that, and our glorious guest, who we need to speak of it with, because we can't do it without him.
Well, we can't do it alone. It's too big.
No, it's too big. It's too much. And I didn't see it coming. I'm ashamed. How are you? Despite that,
I'm great. You know, I'm in my dining room, Danielle, which I normally am not recording here, if you'll note. And that's because the only reason I say what's going on is because listeners have been on the journey with me with pets. And we've welcomed 4 new little ones into our life. And they are not fish, Danielle.
What are we working with?
They are winged creatures.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I got a kit where, caterpillars turn into butterflies for my sons. We've been watching for 20 days for them to come, become the caterpillars. They get into the chrysalis. And then my friend said in 5 minutes, they will all be with us. Mm-hmm. I've now been sitting here staring for 2 hours. 2 of them are out. The other 2 aren't. I'm trying to get a video for my kids. As I said, I of course I was going to miss that 5 minutes. I didn't see either of my children walk for the first time. But yet God has bestowed me to see these butterflies come out of their chrysalis. I'm just keeping one eye on butterfly watch, but I'm here in spirit and mind as well.
We did that with my daughter as well. Got a chrysalis or, got a whatever you want to call them. Again, my science is iffy at best.
You got a chrysalis?
I got a chrysalis. And we got it for her, and we knew it took a few days, perhaps weeks, but it never really got past the pupa, are we calling it? And it just sort of melted in place and became sludge. And that was...
Surprised you didn't share that story when I bared all about Spongy.
Yeah, I didn't get to know this thing.
Him or her.
Or
they.
Before it passed.
Right.
And so, but my daughter kept holding out hope, and basically when it was, that scene in the movie Seven where there's just basically a melted person. That's what it was.
At the end of the day.
And she never gave up hope. And finally, when she was at school, I just threw it away. And she forgot about it, which is great about kids. Their memories are short.
That's what's so great. Well, we named ours, all 4 named Marlene.
Anyway, 4 named Marlene, 1, 2, 3, 4?
1, 2, 3, 4, Marlene. My son Max is obsessed with the name Marlene. We don't know why or where. We've asked him, is this from a show? It doesn't appear to be. They'll come up with names and you're like, oh, that's from a show. My brother just had a son. Now, very quickly, and then we'll bring on our guest, Danielle. This is horrible. My brother sent out a poll because he's so logic-based and he likes to send polls out to people for life decisions. He sent out a poll for what the name should be. He gave 6 options. Mm-hmm. And you could write, love it, hate it, like it okay, could live with it, right? I realize he's done this for his first 2 kids, but we were never included in this poll.
I understand that.
Yeah, he's like, family's not included. But now we were going on 48 hours with no name and he had to expand his reach. Mm-hmm. He's throwing names out there. I didn't read the instructions. The instructions were never come to us personally and tell us you hate the name. This is all anonymous because we don't want you to feel, nor do we want to feel the name we picked you hate. Mm-hmm. Didn't read that. I went straight to him. But point being, my children were obsessed with him calling if it was a girl, Marlene.
Such a specific name to, and
Marlene. I'd like, you don't hear it too much.
And I'd like to come to a specific name too, real quick, and then we will introduce our guest, which is the name that your Zoom. Now, for some unknown reason, we all, when you Zoom, your name comes up on the bottom usually, right. And yours has always come up.
I'm used to it saying Casey
Wilson. I mean, time and time again, we've been doing this over a year now, and yet today, when you signed on, the name across your screen simply says Luc Rochelot, a French a New Orleans French name?
Luc Rochelot.
Who is
Now,
this person?
most people would think, again, who's Luc? I have no fucking idea who Luc Rochelot is.
What is happening, Casey? Who is this person?
I don't know. And if you're out there, please identify yourself.
What?
Are you here? Who are you? Our guest, Brian, who we're bringing out, suggested perhaps Luc is from the other side and wanting to be heard or seen.
Happy to hear his views on the things going on in the world of the Housewives. Maybe Luc Rochelot is carrying us just as Jesus did.
Luc Rochelot, God, I'm trying to think of a footprints thing with Zoom. It's hard.
It's a footprint.
Leave a digital footprint?
Yeah, digital
in the
footprint
sand?
in the
I don't
sand.
know.
That was good
He
enough.
was carrying us.
Yeah.
Okay. Danielle, just glancing at the butterflies. We're still good. Let's bring out our guest.
This gentleman is one of our favorite people across time, across space.
Across all planetary
across the
disciplines.
universe. He is the founder and head of the Housewives Institute. And he has a new book out, which I'm so excited to read, just simply titled The Housewives.
The Housewives, the real story behind the Real Housewives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a gorgeous cover of all our gals just looking their best.
Being their best.
Being at their best. And honestly, that is their best because they're just one-dimensional. We can't hear from them.
No. Please welcome Brian Moylan.
Hi, it's so lovely to see you, Casey and Luke.
Casey, Luke, and Danielle. Brian, hi. I'm so happy to see you. It's so long overdue to have you.
I know. I'm so happy to be back and with you guys.
Now, I don't mean to make Danielle feel badly, but Danielle, you are, myself, Brian, and Luke, we are all authors with books out.
Yeah, you certainly are.
How does that make you feel as a caterpillar killer? As a chrysalis crusher.
Thank you. As a chrysalis murderer. You know, it doesn't feel great.
Okay.
I am unpublished, though I have written for the stage and screen. Let's not forget the tome of Beverly Hills Chihuahua, too.
So, I'm sorry to laugh. Every time you tell me, again, I liked it a lot, Danielle.
Look, game recognizes game. We all know that. And I think
Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
So
too.
I don't think you should put yourselves above me in this world of authorship. We've all done our
contributed
job.
to the culture.
Have you thought of getting your life down in a memoir or something, some essays?
Getting my pen wet,
Yes.
you mean?
Oh.
Of course I'm working on something, you idiots. I'm always working on something.
Danielle is a hustler. You're always working, and I've read a few of your essays, and I love them, and so you're next.
Yes, so I just have to get my shit together. But yes, I am working on things. I'm in the chrysalis stage of it. Hopefully I don't. Hopefully I don't fall on the ground and become just a smush of a person.
But Brian, you are a butterfly.
How did you find, you've written, of course, many things before. How did you find writing your essays and writing for a print scenario?
It's been a wonderful experience just getting my story out there. I have one essay about the Housewives. You have a whole book. So everyone needs to get Brian's book because I was reading it. It's like, I can't even, it's like mainlining sugar in the best possible way. You know what I mean? It's like mainlining comfort food plus knowledge that I always wanted to have, but never, how would I have the access? How would we have the ability to have? You research the motherfuck out of this book.
Oh my
Will you tell
God.
everyone just tell us about your process because there's so much to tell. Tell us when you started this, please, as well.
So it was about 2 years ago that, I worked on it for 2 years and then it's been done essentially since December. And
because I want to say we interviewed for it 3 years ago.
yeah, maybe around then, because I announced that I was doing it on your show.
Yes.
And then I talked to Bravo about maybe partnering with them on it. And they requested 10% of all the book sales and complete editorial control. And so we turned them down. And they then emailed.
Because the 10% I could see, but the editorial control, no.
That was the problem. And then, so in response to that, they emailed every Real Housewife and producer who has ever worked on the shows and told them not to speak with me, which made research quite a joy, let me tell you.
That's why you came to
That's a
Danielle and I, to the margins.
I just started, like, I went to like LinkedIn and to a site called Staff Me Up, which is kind of like LinkedIn for production people, and just started like cold calling everybody who's worked on the Housewives, like ever, and trying to get people to talk to me. And then, do you have any friends who you could introduce me to? And, you know, who can, and just emailing Housewives on their social media.
Because right off the bat, we've got quite a bit from Kristen Teichman. We've got Cindy Barshop out of the gate.
Yeah. There's about 5 who went on the record, and I probably talked to about a dozen Housewives. A lot of them kind of didn't want their name used on background kind of stuff. And then I talked to a ton of producers, editors, story editors, camera people, all of the real soldiers on the ground. And so...
Yes, the below the line.
Yeah. And this was them knowing their names weren't going to be in the book, so saying the things they want to say when they know Bravo's not listening. So, you know, we do get some behind the scenes stuff, but it's all like filtered through Bravo and what they want us to hear. And this is kind of the real unvarnished truth of what goes on in the shows.
Yes, because I'm going to say, I feel like this, when God closes a door, he opens a window. Because we've heard from the Housewives. And obviously you do give us tidbits and gossip that we need. So I don't want people to think this is not in the book. But what I was fascinated by, what I've always wanted to get at is the fucking casting process. Like, get me in there and how the show was developed. I could have read like 19 more chapters on that. It was so perfect to hear Brian gets into like the nitty gritty, like the notes process for all the shows. It's really something to behold.
And everyone says Bravo is the meanest and the worst at giving notes of like any network they've worked on, and just like insulting and kind of mean, and that it takes forever. And I mean, they deliver us a great product. So like, thank you. But also, yeah.
Wait, so what's the most, we don't think we can be shocked anymore with the Housewives and these shows. Like, we always nothing can shock me. What is the most shocking thing that you found out? Or do you want to save it for the book? But did you find something?
Tidbit, yeah.
Yeah,
but maybe one little tidbit.
One of my favorite parts is about the casting process. I think it's in the first chapter of the book. And I talked to a casting director who has worked on several different iterations of the show. And you know how fans are always like, oh, they should get Heather Locklear. They should get this famous person. They should talk to this famous person. And she told me that all of those people who we've always mentioned, you know, what's Harry Hamlin's ex-wife? Nicolette Sheridan. Like, everyone who we always think of, they've already approached. And they have a list they call the Forever No list. And it's a list of people who they have interviewed about possibly being a housewife and either don't want to do it, aren't good on camera, you know, whatever. And they're on this list called the Forever No list. And Heather Locklear is one of those people. And so everybody who hopes that she's going to be on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I'm sorry, she is on the Forever No list.
Forever No. I haven't been approached. I felt like, you know, when people are always like, if you weren't an actress, what would you be? I'm like, after I read your book, I was like, I am 100% genuine. I would be a casting director for The Real Housewives.
Oh my God. It sounds like such an amazing, crazy, great job.
Just so fun. And I love that the people, sometimes they would think these people are going to pop. Like, these are going to be, you know, and that their first criteria is that they are actually friends, which is what we all respond to. Right. So that makes perfect sense. But
siblings. Then when did it change? Because like then they were friends, but then I guess people fall off. They got to get a new person. That person has to be interesting. Not every person in every friend group is interesting. Like,
they don't pop, or they go too far in the auditions, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, that'd be me.
You know, too out there.
Yes.
That would be me. I would try too hard, and I would try and be fun in a way that wasn't fun, and I would be on the try too hard list. I know that.
I am amazed that they do background checks on these people, because how did we end up with Jen Shaw?
I mean, because it's sort of like, I'm sure when they read like, oh, she runs a Ponzi scheme, is that like a feature, not a bug? Like, are they just like, you know, is that a plus, not a minus when they look at that?
Well, and Brian, you touch upon that. You say they do background check, but to me, it's like loose parameters. It's like, okay, you haven't killed anyone, but I'm not sure that deters. It seemed.
No, and I mean, we've seen, Phaedra came on and her husband was already in jail. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know what they're checking in the background, but they're checking something.
Mm-hmm. And I also don't believe that just because you've been in jail or are
Right.
married or associated with someone that's been in jail, that doesn't mean you don't deserve a second chance at society or
Not at all.
But it does seem to be some recidivism, or just some repetitive bad behavior. So that's where it gets a little tough.
Right. Or is it that's when it gets great?
Well,
Brian, now I do have to ask you about one thing.
Yes.
Talk to me about, for my book, I ran through everyone in my life. Who am I going to dedicate this book to?
Yes.
And now I had some major feelings because I was toggling between my brother or my kids. And then most of you might say, of course, your kids, but the book really does touch down more with my family of origin. And I decided the second one will be for my kids. Please know I thanked them last in the acknowledgments, and the book is about them. But I felt I needed to dedicate this to my brother for letting me tell our story. Now, you dedicate the book, not to your brother.
No.
Or to your future kids. You dedicate it to Ms. Jill Zarin.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
Well, I have always felt a close kinship with Jill Zarin. And
I'll say.
And, I end all my Bravo Real Housewives of New York recaps with my kind of Jill Zarin fan fiction, which people either love or hate. But I don't know. I just feel like of all the housewives out there, Jill Zarin is the one who is really me, in my soul. So I just wanted to dedicate it to her because, I mean, at the beginning, she really brought me in and made me love the housewives even more. And so.
But if you think about it, she's such a short-lived housewife. In the canon of the housewives, she, much like Sonia Morgan's marriage, it seems to have been a lot shorter than the impact.
Than the time we spend on it.
And that is a bit of the Jill Zarin thing where I think she was only on for 3 seasons and yet we still talk
longer than that.
No, but I don't think so. I think it was 3 seasons.
It was 4, but
she really made an imprint, at least in Luke Rochelle's life.
Well, and she was friends with Ebony. So, she really brought that original cast of Real Housewives of New York together. And, she's still having an impact on the housewives even today. So thanks, Jill Zarin.
And what does your life partner think about this?
He thought it was hilarious. I was like, if I dedicate this to Jill Zarin, are you going to mind? And he was like, no, that's hilarious. And I was like,
well, then you're with the right person.
You're with a soulmate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And he gets mentioned in the book a few times, so he's fine.
Okay. He does. He gets his shout out. Now, Brian, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, and sorry to put you in the hot seat, but have you touched down with Ms. Erica Jane? And you were her very public ghostwriter of her book. And I can only assume she spoke to you off the record. I won't make you answer that. But have you touched down on her and what's happening with Tom? And what have you heard? And do you know concerning if she's going to spill it this season? What do you got?
So first of all, she did not talk to me off the record, and I didn't even ask because I knew they would immediately be like, Erica, talk to him. So, and Bravo called her 4 times to be like, don't talk to Brian. And so I was like, I respect that. I'm not going to bother you at all. So she didn't talk to me off the record. But I have talked to Erica Jane, especially because, I'm about to do press for this book and people are going to ask me about it. And she told me that she was taken completely unaware by the whole thing, had no idea that it was going on. And she is spilling it on the show to the extent that she can spill it. But she told me, the accountants and lawyers and whatever are still going through everything. And she doesn't even know the full extent of, what was going on. So she's still trying to
love that.
Untangle everything a bit herself. So,
okay. I would think at this point, and here's my question, that I would sell everything, stop everything, but she still has to keep up an image and it's expensive to be her. She said it herself. And so as we all know, if the bottom falls out, I'm still at the bottom. I dress for the bottom at Matt. But with someone like her, how do you upkeep when basically even your Bravo money, I'm sure, has to go to some of this? I don't know how you
Yeah.
keep this up
And
keep
I think
a lifestyle up.
that's what she's dealing with now, is they're seeing, where all the money was, how much she knew, how much she's on the hook for, et cetera, et cetera. So, I
she's
think
on the hook
scary.
for it all because he subsidized her with that money. So she's got to pay it back too. You can't, you have to.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what she knew. Because she had no reason to believe, he's a high-powered attorney who's always made tons of money.
Yes.
I have no idea.
No, I'm not saying she should. I'm just saying, but he subsidized her. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know how it all works, but it's very interesting.
I don't know how it all works either. And I think she was telling me, like, she's not even sure how it's all going to work either. And they're still going through the legal process and the financial process and all that. And so I know she is going to talk, especially about the relationship falling apart, et cetera, on the show. So I think that, a lot of people, obviously, I have a relationship with her and I'm friendly with her. And what Tom did was awful. If he did what he is accused of, which, let's be honest, looks like he probably did, was awful. And if she had a part in that, I think that's awful too. But I think that a lot of people are pronouncing her guilty without hearing her side of the story or finding out what's going on yet. So,
yeah.
And just because you're married to someone does not mean that you're responsible for the actions they take, just because you are responsible for none of that. We hear all the time people have been cheated on. People live with serial killers, and have no fucking idea.
Right.
So
it doesn't seem to be, and what do I know? Okay. The Teresa Joe thing, which is what job is she pointing to that he has that's bringing in this income?
Right. Yes.
Mr. Girardi.
Yeah.
She met him and knows him as a man of extreme wealth. So are you getting into the nuts and bolts of where that wealth comes from? Or are you just hiring Mikey and calling it a day?
Well, and whatever he was doing seems to have long predated his relationship with Erica. So
exactly,
it's not like she came in and was like, I want to be a pop star, start embezzling money. No.
Yeah.
And
I gotta say, I think Erica is a good person. So I think this will be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Erica I know wouldn't have knowingly been involved in anything like that.
Well, she's also not stupid. And I think that she would know, and I don't think she's a sociopath. So those two things make me think she wouldn't willingly be like, yep, we're going to do this. This sounds like you know what I mean? That it's pretty sociopathic, I think. But
yeah. And I mean, some of the people at the law firm say they didn't even know what was going on with the money. So, I mean, if this guy's like, oh, hey, I have all this money and here's how I get it. Who is she to question, where it may or may not be coming from. So, but yeah, I'm excited to see what's up with the season. But she also did tell me that she really was living next door to Armie Hammer for a brief shining moment. So
beautiful. Let's take a quick break, and then we need to come back with some other breaking news. Yeah. We have to delve into before we can get to our cities. We're back. Now, everyone knows this news. I don't need to explain it, but I guess, Danielle, I'll quickly put it into context for everyone. The explosive news that arrived 17 hours ago from when we are filming.
Amir.
So Portia's posted a very cute photo with her in a bathing suit, and alongside her is her new man, she claims, of 30 days, Simon. And Simon just happens to be Fallon, who we saw on the show. We also saw Simon Fallon's ex-husband as of January. Now, that's what Portia's saying. She's basically saying Fallon and I are not friends. Simon's divorce has been settled. She gets the optics, but Simon filed for divorce in January. It's between them, and Simon and Dennis are committed to being respectful and supportive and co-parents to baby PJ. They are together. They are getting married.
Yeah, they're engaged. That's what's crazy.
Engaged.
Guys, I was watching the Real Housewives reunion on Sunday with not this in my head at all. I mean, this was all going on, and the timeline is really messy. because he was posting things on Facebook. Thank God for our listeners, because they are the detectives. You know,
They're all over this.
They are just incredible. And they have been sending me like screenshots of his Facebook page where he posted something in January saying that my wife and I are the perfect couple and this is why, and we're going to stay married forever and all this shit. So they've been divorced in January. The timeline isn't working out for me.
None of it is working out for me. I mean, just like Drew on the reunion, I think we need to take a moment and say a prayer before we can continue on with this discussion about Portia and her very messy love life.
Okay, I will do it. Dear Andy Cohen, we sit here today.
We gather here.
We gather and we just ask you to give us strength. Give us strength.
And give us the facts.
Yeah. And give us the timeline to get through this newest housewife emergency with our heads on straight and our hearts full.
In Kenya Moore's name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Guys, I feel great about it. I have no qualms with it. I took it at its face value. I'm just like, obviously, she wouldn't be lying to us. They met 30 days ago, John. You know how I take people at their word.
It's so funny about Portia is that she's on this whole social justice tip. Like she's had such a great transformation. She's the funniest. I love her. But her love life is such a mess that
Well, she takes big swings.
Yeah.
She takes huge swings. And I think you recognize that in yourself, Casey. Not that you and your love life took a swing, but I think you take big swings in your life. And sometimes the swings are misses, but that's okay. But you're a passionate person, and so is Portia. And I think that's why you take her at face value.
That's right. And I love Portia.
Me too. And
she's my favorite housewife. So I want her to be happy above all else. And that is the fucking truth. I've been devastated by what happened between her and Dennis.
I know you were.
But we all saw that coming too, didn't we?
Yeah. I wish she wouldn't jump into something so quickly, but you guys are telling me it's not quick. So I don't know what to say.
Here's the other thing that I will say I appreciate about Portia. Men have been doing this shit for years. The biggest businessmen, the political figures, activists, no matter what they are, heads of whatever they are, influencers, they've always, so many of them have had shady, quote unquote, romantic dealings. And we've kind of let them separated church and state. You know what I mean with them?
Yeah.
But women are held to such a higher standard. So even though Portia's like, oh, I'm, stepping into kind of this activist role and it's so amazing to watch. And we've really seen her bloom into this full woman. Like this is part of it too. I want to, as much as it's messy, I also want to say yes. I want to say, what does one thing have to do with the other? You can do whatever the fuck you want. Find your happiness. It doesn't mean you aren't still this amazing activist and person that is putting a movement before herself. And so I'm happy for her in that way.
While I agree with you, Kelsey Grammer did get married for a second time 14 days after he divorced Camille, and we were like, oh, that asshole. So
yeah.
But I agree with your point, is that why should we take Portia to task for this when we wouldn't?
Portia's our friend, guys, not Fallon. We've been with Portia. She's been entertaining us for 20 fucking years.
Well, I love that it took Portia to make Fallon interesting. Like Fallon could have been interesting on her own.
Fallon gave us nothing, and you guys want to support Fallon?
No, right. Totally. Fallon
didn't even fucking come and see Bolo.
She didn't.
Where was she?
And I'll never forgive her for that.
Why was she not at Bolo?
Didn't she go on the trip? Didn't they
So here's what I'm worried about. That Simon is incredibly controlling because he and Fallon showed up. Maybe people were just upset that she brought her man and they weren't staying in the house next door, but then we never saw hide nor hair. And I'm wondering if Candy tipped off Fallon, this is what's going to be happening. And Simon's like, you absolutely won't be going. So I just don't want to see Portia held down.
The way that she was with Cordell, because that was a relationship that really stifled who she was in her heart.
Absolutely.
Look, she wants love and I have empathy for it. And I'm going to choose to believe what I see. Now, of course, there are some other rumors surrounding this. Alleged rumors. Danielle, your sister called you
My
today
sister
to
called me to
take a swing at it.
Is she pregnant? And I'm like, you're not the first person that has texted me this information. Oh, that reminds me. Literally, I was getting texts and tweets and everything all night. And my husband was like, who is, and I left the phone, but I turned it off and it was just buzzing. My husband's like, what is happening? And I was like, it's a Housewives emergency.
My friend's in a situation and I got to deal with it.
It was just like, but it was buzzing, like just and he was like so like nervous that something was going on with my family. And
the
you know what?
memes surrounding this are its own deep dive of fun and beautiful. I mean, this one is not even, I've just been looking them up to read. They're killing me. Someone said, the third king said, now, if you think me being disappointed in Portia right now means I'm going to stand Kenya, you've got another thing coming. People are really making me laugh.
Oh, the meme work is beautiful. Someone said in the museums.
Sorry, someone said Portia is about to call Phaedra for her pregnancy calendar.
Well, that's why I love these shows. And I mean, it's like people are like, oh, is it scripted? Oh, is it fake?
No.
Whatever. It's like, how could you make this shit up? Like, it's like just when you think it's fake, this happens, or Luann gets arrested, or Jen Shaw gets arrested, or Eric and Tom get divorced. It's like,
they're giving us so much stuff even off hours. And that's what I appreciate. They're working overtime.
What we need is to get Fallon a peach right quick.
Mm-hmm. Do we think she does because of this?
Just to get her on the screen, please. Please.
So after this reunion, what would you do to the cast of The Real Housewives of Atlanta? Because I was not...
I'd keep them all.
Really? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Maybe not Cynthia. I might let Cynthia go into Lake Bailey and be happy there. I don't know. I mean, we do end up needing her sometimes, but I just don't know if we need Cynthia sometimes. I don't know.
And are there any friends of that you would elevate or get rid of?
I keep
Shamia gotta go.
Yeah, Shamia's, I don't know why. I enjoy Shamia just being at a party. If she wants to come, she's welcome to. But we don't have to pay her to be there.
I couldn't believe Shamia just piped in at the end and was like, I need to speak my truth. Like, I'm not a hanger-on of Portia's. And it was just insane. I'm just like, Shamia, please don't take away from the proceedings.
Yeah, we don't need Shamia, but she's welcome to any party we're at.
I completely agree.
Love Toya. I love Toya.
Oh, really? Oh, she was a little too much for me.
Toya. Yeah, Brian, what are your thoughts on everyone?
I thought Toya was trying way too hard. And I really liked Drew until the last episode with that bullshit about the prophet and the wig and the tape player. And like, nobody cares about your stupid prophet storyline that you're trying to bring us.
I do.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
No, it was.
And I thought it got even more insane and wonderful when she was like, there's two other prophets, like one prophet from Milwaukee, one prophet from Connecticut.
The Prophet Network was talking about
the other prophets could feel the bad vibes surrounding the initial prophet. I mean, these are the storylines that I personally love. I'm Team Drew. Drew has taken the place in my heart that Kenya once occupied.
Really?
When she bowed everyone in prayer. I love it. I mean, and literally this fucking bitch is screaming at her the whole time, like, your wigs are messy, like, your wigs are disgusting, you look terrible. And she's remaining fairly unflappable, save the time Kenya, came at her about her kid. I don't know. I just think Toya is an awful person.
I will say this most recent iteration of the reunion really took a focus on appearance that we don't often get. And it was lots of, you need lipo, you're gross, your wigs are ugly, your clothes. Yeah. And I mean, it's one thing to be like, you called me a slut.
Marlo does a lot of that. Marlo does a lot. When she goes low, she goes towards people's looks. She does that. It's a dirty game. It doesn't really work anymore.
When they go high, she goes low.
Yeah. She goes low to your ass and talks about the cellulite on or whatever. And it's like, they all look fantastic. We're just reaching. It's not true. It makes her look bad. And it's just stupid fighting. Like, you're smarter than that, Marlo. You're better than that. You're funnier than that. Like, pick different stuff. Cause that's just dirty. And it's just gross.
And I feel like Marlo had a great season. And what she does is she always what do you call it? Cuts the legs out from under her or whatever. She always loses it all in the reunion. It's like, now we have to start back from zero with Marlo. And this is why Marlo doesn't get her peach. She's just so mean.
Well,
the stuff she was saying to Portia was like, I'm going to reach through the TV and strangle her.
There is a little tidbit in the book that I heard from a former Bravo executive that A very high-powered person at Bravo said that Marlo will never get a peach because of her rumored career as a sex worker.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like that thinking could change, especially after Bolo and how every Bravo, I felt, and Andy took such a beautiful sex positive stance. I'm just wondering if we could see a change in that.
And I also
way.
think at the beginning or even in the last few years, like, I think sex worker is coming under new light of what
That's
we
what I mean.
view
Yeah,
it
yeah.
as. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a different thing, and I think people think differently. Not everybody, obviously. We have a long way to go, but but I do think that there is a change of mind and hearts.
I completely agree
I
with you.
certainly hope there is.
And
yeah.
I want to see Marlo's home life because I want to see her raising those nephews. Like, that is fascinating to me. Imagine you're being raised by your aunt and your aunt is Marlo. Like, that should be a sitcom.
We need access to the nephews. We need a lot more.
Yeah.
But I just think Marlo has great qualities. No one is all bad, but she really, I'm going to say she disappointed me in the reunion.
Yeah.
Guys, we should move on to another city. Is there anything else we want to add about this Portia emergency?
And just Atlanta in general. I just like that people were as disappointed with the $1,000 gift as I was. Like, that was such a low in the series, and it was really low.
When Andy served crab cakes to everyone at the end, I was like, this is truly one of the most perfect bits I've ever seen. And Candy, the look on her face when she thought someone was going to then take her crab cake.
No,
was really great.
Do not take Candy's crab cake.
Do not take Candy's crab cake.
No, we all know that. Oh, wait, one last quote from Marlo. I drink every day, and I know that they're filming. When she was like, oh, we were all drunk, and it's like, we weren't thinking about it. She goes, like, in defense of how she's like, I drink every day, and I'm not stupid enough to know that they're not filming. And I love that like, I put it away.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. I loved it.
Let's take a quick break.
We're back with New York.
We've got a lot. We've got 3 cities to cover.
I would say this episode was a filler. You know, we just got to the Hamptons. We, got to see the girls bonding. We got to see, Ramona's house. We got to see Ramona's version of partying. Her with it was a filler episode. We got to know Ebony a little more, which I appreciated. We got to see them bond with Ebony.
We got to meet Michelle, Ramona's help.
Yes, we got to also meet Leah's
Michelle,
big
Diane.
beau.
Michelle, Diane, Luke.
Oh, God. She's the worst. Ramona.
Michelle, Diane, Luke. I get my help mixed up.
I will say that something that I had long suspected was confirmed in this episode. And it is that Ramona Singer has definitely drank the Death Becomes Her serum. Because her body is, like, out of control. Like,
it's out of control.
I will say this, though. Anytime she has a beautiful body, but anytime she tries to do something with that body, it looks so awkward, whether it's getting on a float or dancing or even just walking. It's like her body has never moved before. It doesn't recognize movement. You know what I mean?
I also think she has maybe tested the serum first on Coco because Coco is like the oldest living dog in New York. Like, how is
I
that
literally
dog
was
still
like,
with us?
how long the fuck has Coco been with us?
Forever. But for her to not know Sonia's dog's name was a shock. We all know Sonia's dog's name. To not know Marley? That was insane. They're best friends.
Guys, I thought when Sonia was with the healer, who we've seen several times, I was like, Sonia's in a very dark place. I know we've seen her this way, but normally it's coming out with the alcohol, like to see her on that fainting couch with Marley sitting on her head while she was healed. I was like, can Marley scooch over? I can't see her face. With Marley's like tail drying her tears, I just felt like, wow, Sonia's in such a dark place financially.
Oh my God.
I mean, again, Danielle, like you said, they were together for 6 years. And she's upset in a future episode that Ramona banks at Wells Fargo
That to
and
me
not JP Morgan. This
like,
is insane.
My family's bank. I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's it's something broken deep within because did she leave him? I thought he left her. Like, I'm so
I think he cheated and she had to make a choice to stay or to go, and she went.
Oh, I thought she cheated and he left her.
That's what I thought.
Come again?
That's maybe something that someone leveled at her at a reunion special and may or may not have been true.
Yeah, I would love to know the truth and the timeline of that. If anyone can send us, Brian, if you could put an addendum in your book.
Thank you. Well, she was, I did discover that she was meant to be in the first season of Real Housewives of New York, but the divorce was ongoing at the time and the husband wouldn't let her. So Sonia missed being an OG by a couple seasons.
But yet still cemented her status as such.
Totally. I mean, she's been with us longer than Jill Zarin, my muse and dedicated.
And yet your book, not dedicated to
to anyone in your life longer than Jill Zarin.
I mean, it just felt a bit dark to me that I felt sad for her. It was just heartbreaking. Like, I think when she was like, I can't even rent the townhouse, I can't even sell it, I was just like, oh my God.
Can she sell it for less? Can we get it a bargain basement? At least give her something? Is it not worth it?
I feel the problem is that she might have taken out like loans on the house. And if she sells it under a certain amount of money, she can't pay back all the money that she owes on the house.
Brian, don't make this darker. Brian, please.
I'm sorry. Sonia is my favorite and I love her forever, but oof. I mean, if she's still not healed from this divorce, I mean, a few cymbal crashes and a little drum isn't really gonna.
That's not gonna do it. Now, we had another healer later in the Burning Man party.
Healers.
So if you had to choose a healer, would you have chosen the Sonia healer or the Burning Man healer?
It's a real
Burning Man. I liked that healer. I was like, this seems to be the most together healer that we've seen. Coming hot off the heels of Deandra's hair extensionist.
That's the worst healer we've ever had.
Well, the Salt Lake healer was a little bit wild, but I guess she was trying to mediate.
She did heal them. Not with the problem that she thought they were coming in with, but with a different one. And it ended up healed.
I thought the psychic in Jersey seemed pretty
I love the psychic in Jersey. Was amazing.
Oh, I think she has a very good grasp on Google. That's how she...
You know who just discovered Google? Ramona Singh. She's like, I have this thing. It's called a Google alert. I was like, Ramona, where have you been?
Have either of you ladies ever been to a healer?
Of course.
Brian, my whole book is only about the many healers I've been to. The thousands. I've been to a wizard.
So I pre-ordered your book and I sent it to my place in LA, and I was getting here a few days after your book was released. And I got here and someone had stolen your book off of my front stoop.
Never been more flattered.
So I had to order it again. So I've ordered your book twice.
I've been going around to people's houses and stealing them.
Well, thanks
I really have.
I would just like you guys to see my shelf right here. What's on my reading shelf right here?
Beautiful.
These are the books
Danielle.
that I have.
Danielle, can I quickly touch down on your background one more time? I just want to say one more quick thing.
Yes.
So, Brian, this background is what Danielle chose, what you're seeing now for our live show. And it was hard to accept. So Danielle sends June and I a photo the other day, a text of like, guys, I got it together. Like, I've elevated the proceedings. New background alert. And what she sends is merely a haphazard bulletin board behind her, art hanging askew, and next to that a window that's blowing the light out in front of her. And it looked honestly worse.
No, I did it yesterday. I had a big meeting yesterday, and I
that worried me. Could I come over and wallpaper one wall?
Well, I do have a wallpapered wall in my daughter's room, but it's very like...
I've got an idea for you, and maybe I'll for the new show. Maybe I would like to offer my services to just work out a background.
I mean, it's a business expense. You could write this off on your taxes.
Just give me one shot, Danielle. 15 minutes.
Okay, I'm giving you a shot. 50. I will give you.
I am happy to help. I will hang wallpaper. I will paint. I will stencil.
We can do that sticky wallpaper, you know?
Oh, whatever you need.
Whatever you need.
That reminds me, a lot of people think we need to bring Portia and Fallon to the red towel. Just FYI.
Oh, I would love it. I would love it. Well, we said this last week, Danielle, but quickly, you know, for our new live show that's coming up at the end of June in celebration of 4th of July, if anyone has red towel talk within their own lives, we will mediate. So please send us to bootsonthegroundbs@gmail.com your personal stories. And we are happy to also reach out to the persons that you're not ready to reach out to.
Or if you have a red towel discussion you'd want to take up with one of us, something.
Please no. With Danielle.
Oh, yeah. With me, in case he's
yeah.
through so much.
I think I'm good.
If you want a red towel between me and Bravo about my book, I'm happy to red towel with someone from Bravo.
Interesting, and I will follow up on that. And let me ask this, Brian. Here's my question. Why were they so against it? Because I will say, you know, Andy and Bravo, and I'm not saying this is Andy in your situation, but have been so supportive of us just shooting the shit about the show. But was it they were taking umbrage with you kind of revealing more of the behind the scenes of it all?
Yeah, because we talk about it good or bad. Like we are not in Bravo's pocket in any way. So obviously we love Andy and we love Bravo. But at the same time, we have come out against them.
Yeah, I think that Bravo really wants control over the message about the shows, especially about what goes on behind the scenes and how it's made. And like all the women who have written books, Bravo gets to read those books before they come out and gets to take things out or strike things. And so and it's like, we can talk shit about the shows or the women can talk shit about each other. But as soon as you start talking shit about production or Bravo, they get very defensive. And so I also think that they were mad that they didn't think of it and couldn't make money off of it.
Because what I'll say is pulling back the curtain, whatever they're doing is fucking working.
Yeah. 100%.
You know,
and like, I think that if we know how the trips are paid for, like, it's not going to stop us watching the shows. It's going to make us like more invested. I think if anything, if you're just like honest with us and level with us, like how it all happens. I
don't even mind it being out there and us also having the disbelief when we watch the show that Sonia paid for this trip. Whatever, like I'm willing to compartmentalize like that in my life and with this show. So I'm fine with being like, oh, of course Bravo pays for the trip, but let's have this be Denise's trip. Sure, whatever. Like
exactly.
I'm fine with that stuff.
Yes, totally.
Me too. Well, I'm glad that your book is out there and it exists. And I'm sorry you had to go through that because that is a roadblock, but you went around that roadblock beautifully and still delivered a wonderful book, fascinating and gossip-filled book. Can we talk about Dallas, guys?
I have given up on Dallas.
Ooh.
But I will listen to you talk about Dallas.
Wow. I did not get sent the screener from the week before, so I don't know what happened the week before the first reunion. So couldn't, I don't.
And that's your issue.
That's my issue. And I don't have Real TV anymore. So but I did watch the most recent Dallas and that was interesting.
This was the final part of the reunion.
Two-parter, which Dallas, we always know that it only deserved 2 parts. And yet it's always a bit of a slap in the face to the city because you didn't have enough. Honestly,
I'll just say this. I thought it was one of the darkest reunions I have ever watched.
It was pretty tough.
At every turn, we're watching like the most painful conversation. The first one being between Cameron and Tiffany was just unbelievable. Cameron was pulling receipts out of a pink trunk that looked like a knockoff Elle Woods, like shitty ass thing. Cameron, who I've loved, came off so fucking ignorant. It was embarrassing. Ugh. It was embarrassing. I'm embarrassed to be a white woman. And Cameron just didn't understand when she was making fun of chicken feet, why that's offensive.
Right.
To Tiffany. And Tiffany had to say it in every fucking combination and way. And Cameron could not accept why it was offensive. And then immediately was like, in these times, girl, like, you've got to forgive me. Basically being like, I need forgiveness so I'm not canceled and I need it quick. And then the minute Tiffany was like, okay, Cameron, I get you didn't mean to seem racist. Cameron was like, great, let's hug. It was just despicable. So crazy and dark.
Tiffany was also trying to, which she did not have to do, explain to Cameron that this is not about you. This is about my culture and food. Like Cameron refuses to get something, not because she
And Cameron's like, so you can make fun of chicken feet and you can profit off it and I can't? It's like,
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. You fucking inbred idiot.
And also, take someone telling you hurt them and hear it. Hear
She
when
couldn't do
someone
it.
tells you that you hurt them and why. And
She
take that
couldn't do
in.
it.
Take it. Just take
Yes.
it in.
The other two dark moments, since we're running out of time, I felt was wow. Okay, so we've got Carrie and Brandy on Zoom screens, and they have sat what looks like huge tablets, like rectangular tablets.
It almost
in their
looked like
seats.
mirrors, like the mirror on the wall. You know, it was
Oh
so.
my
It looks like that
God.
workable. What's the mirror workout? Is that what
Yes,
it is?
yeah,
It looks
mirror.
like holograms.
Yes.
They're both in the worst lighting I've ever seen.
The
They're
wor-
just resting in chairs. It was spooky.
Worst lighting that has ever, like Brandy's lighting, her hair. It was a mess. A mess.
But then we delve into Brandy's life, and I will say, I was like, wow, it has been so dark. You just have to watch it. I honestly can't even take everyone through the darkness involving what happened with her mother-in-law and her daughter, and then so we'll just leave that over there. Andy makes a very seamless transition into asking about Brian and the dance floor video with Brandy. And she's like, it was a mistake on his part. He was at a bachelor party for my brother-in-law. I don't know who the hell. She's like, and he made a mistake. And then Andy's like, what year was this? And she's like, 2018. That was hard to hear.
And also, I actually felt that what she said about like when they were like, are you going to leave him? And she's just like, look, he's been with me through my dark time. I'm not going to leave him in his. Like, I got that.
Haven't they been together since like high school?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time. And
do we think those two had sexy again? I'm just like, what we saw is all that happened. It didn't exist before that video or after.
I don't know. I'm a little like that too sometimes where I'm like, no, that was what happened. He kissed a girl. He got drunk. He got wasted. He was having a good time and he kissed a girl and it's not right, but he fucked up and that's where it ends. But I don't know what the real story is.
I feel like it's like cockroaches. Like when you see one, there's like 100 in your house.
See, I only think there's
Brian.
one.
Wow,
Oh,
Brian.
it's just like there's one and that's it. And then we killed him and he's gone.
Wow, Brian, you're right. And they're all scattering.
Now,
when
do
the
we
lights
think
come on.
Leanne Locken put this out? Like, to hear her name again.
That was the craziest accusation. So then Brandy's like, Leanne Locken. So then Stephanie says she thought that Brandy was suicidal and she sent a friend over to her house and found her like in the darkness of her room, clutching her baby, hysterically sobbing after that video came out. Then a fan sent that video to her daughter's private Instagram account.
That to her daughter.
That's
Oh,
fucking awful.
It was fucking awful. Like, it was very dark. And then Andy's like, and who do you think stirred this up? And she's like, who do you think? It was Leanne. And then Stephanie's like, Leanne timed this. She knows the show comes out Tuesdays.
But
like,
so does everybody knows the shows come out Tuesday. Like,
I bet a fan sent that video to Leanne and Leanne put it out there.
But why wouldn't the fan just put it out there?
Because they knew it needed to come from Leanne. And the fan was kind of being like, look, she's not so perfect. Let me show you what she's up to, because she's mad that Brandy was able to stay on the show after her racially horrific video and Leanne was kicked off for her.
Yeah.
You know.
And Leanne wants back on the show. And if she makes herself central to being on the show.
But they'll never put in that Danielle Staub way. She will never be back on the show.
She's
she
a
will
forever
never
now.
be back. She's gone.
Mm-mm.
But
She's gone.
she wants back badly because.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's just, that's some pretty dark stuff to put out there about someone's life. I did feel for Brandy. I was like, wow, this is dark. But then also Brandy's like fucked up with Tiffany. It was bad. And then last thing, when Deandra was crying about calling her mom a fucking bitch, I hate you, mom, you're a fucking bitch. She was clearly ripped her a goddamn new one. Brian, you and I are going to talk Jersey. Danielle had to go back to the writer's room, but she'll be joining us at the end. But where are you at with Jersey?
This is the first time I've recapped Jersey, so I've been like really into it in a way. And my thing with Jersey is I almost find the women's stories on their own much more interesting than I find the women together. And that, like, I think Jennifer's thing with her family is fascinating.
Interesting.
I think that Melissa and Joe's relationship things are interesting, but like together, I don't know. I'm just not feeling Jersey this year.
Wow.
And it does also feel like we keep harping on about Melissa and Joe. We keep harping on about Dolores and Frank and David. And they keep teasing us with Teresa's man. And are we or are we not going to see him and whatever? It's like, I don't know.
It's getting old. And Dolores, the Dolores and the Margaret book and the ghostwriter.
Yeah. And I mean, and how is she a Housewives ghostwriter with a yacht? And I'm a Housewives ghostwriter with student debt. Like, what am I doing wrong here?
Sorry you had to see that, Brian.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry you were so forward thinking and you were ahead of the curve that we didn't get you enough on the show the way now these women are like cast members.
I mean, hello, I was only on twice. She's been on, they got to go on her yacht.
It's ridiculous. I mean, what do you think about this man for Teresa?
I mean, he looks like he would be Teresa's man.
He looks so perfect.
I mean,
casting.
You could not have cast a better Teresa's boyfriend than this guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, we didn't get to see much of him, so I'd be curious to see how they interact together and what's going on with them.
Seems to be a real sexual connection there.
Oh, totally. And that's the thing about Teresa is I feel like she's probably had sex with like 4 people in her whole life, but when she gets down, she gets down.
Yeah, I would say maybe 2 people. And then now this gentleman. So maybe 3 total.
That might be true. Wow. I want to see Joe Giudice's new Italian girlfriend, just like out of curiosity.
Yeah, of course. Well, you can get at him very easily because when we bought a cameo from him, he really let us into his world. More than behind the curtain, more than you want to see how the sausage is made, literally. Yeah, I'm with you. At first, I was like, oh my God, Jersey, this is amazing. The Jackie, the Gia, the cocaine, the cheating at the gym. And now I'm just kind of like, all right, guys, stop attacking Dolores. Who the fuck cares? Yes. I am a little like, I'm a little worried about New York, too. I didn't want to say it in the beginning. I didn't know if I should say it. I'm a little worried about New York.
I feel like it's a really weird time for like pandemic reasons, and that I don't think they wanted to introduce a lot of new characters other than people of color to diversify the shows, which they need to do anyway. And we don't get to see them going out and going on real trips and really doing things and living their lives. And so because I feel like if this had been a normal season of Jersey, they might have changed up the cast a little bit because it's been the same for several seasons. And I think that might have added some new flair and dynamic to it. But
and in New York, I need to see those women with men fight, because their dynamic shifts so radically that I'm like, oh, we're all at this crazy Burning Man party. We're pretty sedate. We're like doing true healing. We're not drinking. And then there's no guys. It's like, okay, well, what are we doing? What do we have?
Yeah. And I think in both cases, they're women we've been with for a long time in the same dynamic. And so you're not introducing those like new elements or new arguments. It's just kind of the same old stuff. But that said, I am happy to watch the New York ladies, clean up Coco's dog pee. And I just think it's hilarious, as opposed to New Jersey, where I'm just like, I don't really like any of you, except for Dolores, who I love.
Except for Dolores. I totally agree. Like watching Ramona and Sonia, I will watch them turn on that pool heater and figure out the filter for a while. Yes.
Oh, I could have watched an hour of that.
Me too.
Happily.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you're right. Thank you for that. Let's take a quick break and we're going to come back with a story of a wonderful gift that you have given Danielle.
So I just wanted to tell you, I dropped off a dress for Danielle. And at the start of the pandemic, Anna Quincosa's Real Housewife of Miami organized a charity auction for COVID type charities of Real Housewives reunion dresses. And I bid on this one for Danielle. It was worn on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 6 reunion by your fashion icon, Eileen Davidson.
Oh my
and
God.
That is her size 4 Zach Posen dress. And it said in the bid, has been used, may include self-tanning stains.
Oh my God, Brian!
Wait, let me show you it, Casey.
This is the gift that will continuously keep on giving, Brian. What a beautiful thing to do.
I was like, Danielle Snyder needs this dress.
Okay, now it's a bright cobalt blue, strapless little number that I think will look great on you, Danielle.
It has a bit of sheen to it. It's very...
She does love a sheen.
I mean, look, it has sort of a serpent print, if you will.
Danielle, I'm going to request that you wear that at our live show because it is bright blue and the theme is the red, white, and blue.
And Brian, thank you so much.
My God. You are so welcome. And I am happy to have given it to you, put it somewhere of pride.
And I thank you so much for the gift of your book, too, which I'm taking a flight to Florida, my first flight in a year and a half. And it feels like the perfect book to tear through on my way to Florida.
Enjoy. I am so happy that you have it. And I can't wait to hear what you think.
Wow, we've really been through a lot. Thank you, Brian Moylan. Thank you, Earwolf. Thank you, Caitlin, Renee. Thank you, Danielle. That was so fun.
And I'd like to thank Eileen Davidson.
Okay. See you next week.
Bye.
The new redesigned 2021 Chrysler Pacifica, that's right, you know how obsessed I am, has a completely refreshed interior and exterior. It has more cargo capacity than full-size SUVs and crossovers. My brother just got it and is obsessed because he now has 3 kids. Wireless Apple CarPlay and phone charging, and the most standard safety features of any vehicle, like forward collision warning, lane departure warning, which I need more than anything in life, and blind spot monitoring. It's now available with all-wheel drive capability, and it is the most advanced all-wheel drive system in its class. The 2021 Chrysler Pacifica is America's only plug-in hybrid that allows for 32 electric miles, 520 miles total driving, and qualifies for a $7,500 federal tax credit. It qualifies for a $7,500 federal tax credit. The new Pinnacle model interior includes quilted leather seats and second-row pillows. Chrysler is offering our Bitch Sesh listeners an exclusive $1,000 bonus cash offer towards a new Chrysler Pacifica or Pacifica Hybrid. Visit PacificaSesh, SESH.com, Pacifica Sesh, and sign up to receive this offer, updates, and more from Chrysler's brand.